Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Stacy. This is going to be my March wrap up. Had a really good month. So let's go ahead and jump into it. The first book that I read was Hazardous Duty by Christy Barrit, and that is book 1 of the Squeaky Clean Mystery series. This is a Christian cozy mystery series, and it is set in Norfolk, Virginia, and I'm in Virginia. So I really do enjoy the setting of this book. It is about a woman named Gabby who wants to be a forensics detective, and she had to leave school early to help take care of her dad. So to try to earn a living, now she cleans crime scenes for a living. And all kinds of mystery ensues. Someone dies, and she is involved with the investigation of that. Some of the things that I really liked about this story was it was fast-paced. It had a believable mystery, at least in my opinion. I love mysteries, but sometimes it like goes off the rails, or the mystery itself just seems like, yeah, it would not happen this way, but I feel like this one had a believable mystery to it. It had really likable characters. The main character, Gabby, lives in an old Victorian home that has been converted into apartments. And all of the neighbors are very likable, very quirky. I love all of their interactions and their friendships. It's just fun. And then it had tons of faith in it. So Gabby starts out being very jaded with religion. She's had it very tough in her life. And throughout the story, she meets different people who are Christians, and they help her come to find God through the story. So I loved that. I thought it was very relatable to a lot of us out there, you know, because not all of us are born into Christianity, or, you know, we have different circumstances. And, you know, I just love how realistic this was. So I really like this book, and I'm already on to the second book in the series. Highly recommend. The next one I read was The Green Dress by Liz Tolsma. This was part of the True Colors American Crime series. Book number 6. You don't have to read these in order. They are all completely separate. But this series is books written by different authors that are based off of true crime stories that happened in history in America. And they are all Christian authors and Christian based. I've read several of these stories. This is the second one that I have read by Liz Tolsma, and I gotta say, she's very dark. She is a bit too dark for me. This story in particular was so sad and so depressing. This one is about an Irish immigrant. I want to say this takes place in Boston, and she gets taken in by this family. And over a period of time, several years, the majority of this family dies in a really bad way. They all have really horrible stomach pains. They get really sick, and they all die. And a doctor comes, and he cannot do anything for any of these people. So the main character is trying to figure out what is going on with all of this family. And a detective gets involved, and he's trying to help. It's so dark. And I want to say there are child deaths in this, and it features an asylum, which I did not know going into it. And I wouldn't have read this book had I known these things. This book is not for me. It's not a book that I should be reading. But if you love true crime, especially with a Christian twist, because there definitely is faith in this book, I would recommend it. It is well written. It's just too dark for me. The next one I read was Rekindled by Tamera Alexander. This is a Christian historical fiction, and I've never read anything by this author, but as I was looking through her books, she seems like the type of person I would really enjoy reading. There's a bunch of her books that I'm interested in, and it is about a husband and wife who they struck out on their own, and they're trying to do the whole homesteading thing out west. So they have land, and they have cattle, all of that kind of stuff. But they are having trouble in their marriage and financial problems. And the husband leaves a note for his wife on Christmas morning. He gets up and leaves Christmas morning. because he's trying to go to this job opportunity that will take him several days to get to. And something happens to him while he's on that journey, and he goes missing for a long time. And so she is left on the homestead, and everything is falling apart. Everything is going wrong. And she has to try to figure out first what happened to her husband and what to do to save the farm, basically. And he is dealing with all kinds of things. And I would say this book reminded me a lot of Redeeming Love. I would definitely say this is a very gritty story. It is not an easy read. Lots of bad things happen, but there is a lot of redemption in this story, a lot of faith. I love the history of it. So I really did like this book. I gave it 5 stars. And if you liked Redeeming Love or the way Francine Rivers writes, I would recommend this author. And then I read Codename Eidleweiss by Stephanie Landsem. And I don't know what took me so long to read this book, because I have read 4 other books by this author and I have given them all 5 stars. This one I also gave 5 stars. She is just such a phenomenal writer. Again, very gritty. This one was a bit tough too, because it was set in the 1930s, so after World War I, but before World War II, and it's during the time when Hitler comes into power in Germany, and the Nazi Party is really taking over. And the Nazis are here, they're coming here, and they're trying to do things here to influence us in America. And this book was written so realistically. So anything that would have been said during that time is written in this book. So there were lots of terms and things that I was reading, and I was like, oh, it's so strange to hear these things now, because we don't say these things anymore. So it was just so eye-opening and informative, and just to kind of remember what things were like and how different we are now. It's mainly about a woman who, she used to work in Hollywood at like a Hollywood studio, but she gets fired. This is in the very beginning. And she ends up taking a job as a spy for a Jewish man, and to try to figure out what the Nazis are doing. So yeah, again, I highly recommend that book. Then I read The Fountains of Silence by Ruta Sepetys. Again, another 5-star read for me. Everything she writes, I love. She has become one of my top 5 authors, and I need her to write faster and more often because I'm running out of books. Anyway, this one is set in the 1950s in Spain, and apparently, I can't believe I didn't know this, but Spain had a civil war in the 1930s to the 50s. And I literally knew nothing about this. I've never heard about this. So Spain had a civil war, and I think it was mainly between Protestants and Catholics. There was more stuff involved with that, but this book in particular does not really go into depth with the Spanish Civil War. This takes place in the time after the war, when it had a dictator ruling Spain. Again, that's something I didn't even know. So there's a dictator named Franco ruling Spain. The people living there are living horrible lives. They are just going through it. It's terrible. I learned so much. And one of the things that the Spanish people are going through is so horrible. It really just rips my heart out. I can't believe I've never heard of this, that it's not widely known. I even went to my husband, who's pretty good with history, and I was like, did you know this? And he's like, no, I've never heard of that. So now I want to do a deep dive into that. I don't really want to say exactly what it is, because I do feel like throughout the story it is kind of a spoiler. But this book is mainly about an 18-year-old boy from Texas. Him and his parents go to Madrid because his dad is an oil guy and he's working out some sort of oil deal with Spain. And while they're in Madrid, they're staying in a hotel, and the boy ends up becoming friends with one of the girls that works at the hotel, and through their friendship, he ends up finding out a lot of the secrets that are being kept in Spain. Absolutely fascinating story. Highly recommend. Please read this book. You guys have to read all the Ruta Sepetys books so we can chat about it, because I can't stop talking about Ruta Sepetys. Anyway, the next book that I read was The Burning of Rosemont Abbey by Naomi Stevens. I gave this book 4 stars. This is Christian historical fiction set in England in the 1950s. And I love the setting of this. I loved the mystery of this. I was absolutely shocked. I had no idea, did not see it coming. So that was great. But it is about a set of twins, and their family, their parents lived in an abbey because their dad was a pastor. He had died, and the twins were being raised by their aunt and uncle. And one night, the girl twin gets a feeling that her brother died. She gets that like twin intuition thing. And the same night, she finds out that the abbey was burned down, that somebody burned it down. And so the whole book is this mystery of what happened to her brother, because her brother is missing, and who burned the abbey down. It was fantastic. It was very well written. The only issue I had with this book was the sister. She, like, besides the very first night when she felt like her brother died, after that, she seemed pretty normal. She didn't seem that bothered or upset or emotional about believing her brother is dead and not knowing where he is or what happened to him. She's trying to solve the mystery, but she seemed awfully like level-headed and non-emotional. And I just feel like as a twin, she would have been a wreck. Like, it just didn't seem to fit. I don't know, with her brother dying, the way she was acting didn't seem to fit. So I thought that was kind of weird. But other than that, the rest of the story was great. I loved it. So anyway, that is my March wrap up. If you've read any of these books, let me know what you thought about them. I'm just really excited to chat about this stuff. I wish I had you guys like here at my house. Like, we could, you know, have tea or snacks and talk about this. That's what I really need. Anyway, I hope you guys had a great March, and I will see y'all soon. Bye.